Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Lali-Ho League. We are deep into it now. This is week 6 of the Swiss, and we've got two wonderful racers today in Kohrek and moonblazewolf, both at 4 and 1. My name is Rex Raoul, and I'm joined in the booth by Groundflyer. Groundflyer, tell me what you're looking forward to seeing in this race.
I mean, first of all, just high-level play. Kohrek and moonblazewolf, both at 4 and 1, both totally earning that because they are incredible racers that have been around for quite a while, actually. So I'm just expecting some really high-level play, but also, you got to inject your fair share of nastiness, and so I'm sure we'll see a boss that's gating something that's required that's going to be a complete nightmare, and I'm pretty excited for it. I'm also extremely jealous because it sounds like moonblazewolf, according to his naming convention there, has a PS5, and I do not. So I don't know if I should root for him anymore because I want PS5.
Well, that's a fair enough reason to root for against anybody, as long as you've got a reason, so that's good. I see in our objectives here, we've got, of course, in Lali-Ho League, the first 3 objectives are always going to be the same. It's those 4 and 5, which are going to be the wild cards, and we've got one boss hunt and one character hunt. What kind of hunts have you found to be a little bit more exciting, Greg?
Well, I guess, the thing that I really am interested in, especially if you have like both character or both boss, because you just kind of, you go immediately into those places. Like if you have both character, you check everything for character. So generally, I think that it's interesting. We have both of these, so folks are going to be looking at every character spot. Like on Hobbs, we're definitely going to see Hobbs early. Hopefully, we'll even see checking Kaipo for the character there. But we're also going to see every boss spot checked, because we need to see if does Mist Dragon Mist is still available, and now Pale Dim is also a required objective. So I think we're going to see folks checking all the bosses that are available as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Having both of the bonus objectives be different means that you really have to look everywhere and not just focus on one kind or the other. But one thing that is going to be kind of the runners is we've got a starting Rosa, a character that a lot of people really like to have in their party.
Yeah, Rosa is the best white mage, bar none, not even close. And then she also has extreme utility. You give her a heroine robe and a good bow and arrow, and she's going to beat up stuff. She's really good early game with that. She can really kind of she's good early, mid, late game. Like anytime you want her, she's great. So she's maybe the best character to have as a starter, honestly. Like you never feel bad having her.
As long as we can find a good bow and arrow or like a power staff or something like that, she can definitely do some damage early. And late game, her stats are just so good that she's just so good at doing white magic at the end of the game, even if you find kind of minimal things. But it looks like we're off. moonblazewolf is up. It looks like Kohrek's going to be starting right behind. And Yang is the second character. Best character in the game right there, but we do get the Adamant as the starting item. That's going to be nice for objective number 2.
Yeah, getting half a Forge there as objective 1. But yeah, getting half a Forge is a great starter. Obviously, one thing we want to see for sure here, it would be really important for the racers to check, is what the starting items the characters have on them, because with the C Neki flag, what that means is they start without any clothes on. Well, I'm sure they're wearing clothes, but they're not wearing stat boosting clothes. And then they have a random weapon with, I guess a certain range of weapons they can get. So Rosa could start with a power staff and be able to beat up stuff, or she could have a good bow and arrow to start with. Like all those things are going to be important to see as well.
Yeah, taking a look and knowing what you have available to you there is important. Looks like moonblazewolf is starting with a little bit of a loot of Baron itself. We're also going to get a peek at the character and boss up here. We have Mom Bomb, and I believe that's Kane there in the Baron Inn.
What an unfortunate place for a Mom Bomb. Well, yeah, because what is it, like the Mom Bomb has 9,000 extra HP that you have to get through in order to not see the explosion. So, and I think that the explosion in that spot is still going to do a decent bit of damage. So that for a first boss in the Baron Inn pairing, that's not amazing to see early.
Nowhere is a good place to see Mom Bomb. It's always annoying with that extra HP, but in a spot that you normally think of as like one hit and they're knocked down, it's particularly annoying. Somewhere like there, Antlion, Mist Cave, those sort of places are where you absolutely don't want to fight Mom Bomb.
tremendously. And it looks like we already have a little bit of divergence. Kohrek is heading into the waterfall cave to grab some loot and got an hourglass too. Blaze is checking out the treasures under Damsian. There we go. I got it.
This is a really interesting, different divergence here. Kohrek going for a place that might have a higher possibility of dropping some really good things. We saw an Ice Brand and a couple of hourglasses now. Some good stuff there, whereas moonblazewolf went for a couple of places with looting with a little bit like higher density of chests, but doesn't have as high a percentage of getting something good.
Yeah, sometimes you really just want to go for density because you're just really trying to get stuff. Maybe you're trying to get a little bit of cash too. You start out naked, so you're really trying to pick up just about anything. And I think that the tiering system and the way treasures are kind of laid out, depending on whether you're in Watery Pass or Damsian, for example. Watery Pass has spicier chests. Sometimes you want less spicy because you're looking for things that'll fit your early game characters. Sometimes you want to get the better stuff because, you might find something like an hourglass or a coffin or some really useful J item utility, or like a defense sword that will be extremely high-end tier gear. Like, Cecil could use that end game and be good.
And with the objective 4 being search for Pale Dim, we saw moonblazewolf do a face check of the waterfall boss. I believe that was a vanilla Octomam reset out of that real fast. Now up at the top of Mount Hobbs, and we see what looks like a quorum with, wait, that might be Palom. I gotta get my thing. Yeah, I got my front and back colors mixed up there. And Baigen up at the top there.
Yeah, no, Baigen's pretty much somebody you never want to see anywhere. And I don't know what kind of, I guess Baigen's probably not going to do that much damage in this spot, so whatever. But yeah, obviously you absolutely want a Palom here. Palom is still an incredibly powerful black mage, although I feel like this flag set is not really as conducive to high magic being as useful. It's still definitely helpful to have him around because he's just going to be beating stuff up pretty early on, getting those level 2 spells. In fact, I think he gets a level 2 spell just off the XP off of this fight.
Right. But we see Baigen being a little bit too annoying for Blaze there. Takes the reset out and looks like going to go to Antlion Cave instead, while Kohrek finding that same sorcerer robe in the basement of Damsian that we saw moonblazewolf pick up a little bit earlier.
Yeah, looting. The looting here is T-Wildish, and unlike the 3-miss zone, there is no sparse on, so every chest has goodies in it. And we just saw moonblazewolf pick up a casual ribbon in that Antlion Cave. That's spicy. But yeah, the loot is so good, even in places where it's not gated, and so the non-gated chests are not as good as elsewhere. You can still get a lot of really excellent gear. So moonblazewolf showing that off here. In fact, both of them showing that you can get pretty good early game stuff, but you have to be careful not to overloot.
I think interesting things is going to be that Palom. As you mentioned, I think people are not placing a super high priority on black magic, and especially a specialist like Palom as much in this flag set as we've seen in some other ones. So the question is going to be, is it going to be important enough for moonblazewolf to go back to get that Palom later in the seed, or is that just going to be too much time wasted and we'll just roll with what other characters we get? We know that there's a Keen available. We even saw Lucia, at least Kohrek did, in the bed in Kaipo.
Oh, that's spicy. Yeah, unfortunately, obviously, you need a Sand Ruby to get access to that. And we don't know where that's going to be, but still, just knowing that Fu is even in the seed and knowing where he is incredibly useful. Yeah, so obviously you get an early Sand Ruby, and Fu is going to be riding the rest of your seed.
Also, some more good gear found before Kane Azo down at the bottom of this Antlion Cave. Saw a Cursed Ring and an Ogre Axe also in here as well. So once Kane is added to the party, he's already got a pretty decent weapon ready to go, and you don't have as much to worry about with anchoring with your agility situation for the end game if you've got that Curse Ring. It sounds like it's a bad item, but there's so many times where it comes up so useful in manipulating the agility of the characters to make sure the characters act in the order that you want, and that you can make your characters be relatively faster and everything like that. So it's a little bit of a weird item, but it's a very useful to have in your possession.
Oh, and also it's got, some side uses too. If you have, like, let's say Dragoon gear on, you put a curse ring on, then it actually absorbs whatever you normally be just get reduced damage for. So like you could have something with fire resistance, you put on the curse ring and you actually get healed for fire instead, which is kind of nifty.
After all that early game looting, we see Kohrek doing some shopping over in Troya right now. Pretty nice items. We see silk webs, star veils, saw Cure 2s and Cure 3s. So a lot of really good stuff for sale right over here in the 2 item shops in Troya.
Yeah, it's useful. I think because especially of the kits you get to start, shopping is maybe not as lucrative, especially overworld as it is in other flag sets. But being able to go to Troya, which has 2 of them, and you got a lot better chance of getting stuff you need, and he got lots of good stuff too. And he also did end up resetting out of that Hops boss, so he's also looking for stuff to replace it. But he's getting some good gear out of this sort of half treasury in Troya.
Yeah, and it's interesting with that shopping thing because these starter kits that we get, we do start off with 10 rune rings, and that's a lot of money if you want. Like, you're only going to equip like 3 or maybe 4 of them throughout the course of the game, and the rest of them is just basically like starting funds for shopping if you want to use it for that.
That actually has some pretty cool utility, because what you can do is you don't even need to really like do a lot of looting. Like, let's say you start with a magma key or a darkness crystal and you want to go check out the shops, but you haven't actually gone and done a bunch of chest checks yet to have fodder to sell to be able to buy stuff. But now you have those rune rings and you're able to start with, like, I don't know, 30,000 gold or whatever, and you can actually pick up a handful of hourglasses or whatever it is you find.
Now we're seeing some interesting things after moonblazewolf picks up that pan down at the bottom of Antlion Cave, but now is doing some more looting in that watery pass, finding some interesting staves, a power staff and a silent staff, both pretty good weapons for Rosa. And Kohrek has decided after getting all this gear to go back up and try that Baigan fight again.
Yeah, and now I think, oh no, Blaze is not going over there. He is going to check out. Actually, I'm surprised because he got the pan, so he's not going for the Rivers McCown special. He is going to take out or try to defend Fabul first, even though he has that pan. So he'll be at least double dipping.
I think I can understand this because with just this starting Rosa and Yang, you might not quite be ready to go up to someplace like Mount Ordeals quite yet. So going to another place, which could be progression, getting a few more levels before making that climb, I think does make some sort of sense. But I mean, there's an argument that doing what Kohrek did instead and grabbing that Palom and trying to beat Baigan might be the way to go too. But Baigan is still proving to be a bit of a thorn in the side for Kohrek right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously having the power of Palom and also then getting a couple of levels, and he'll have like Ice 2 to start is going to be super useful. But maybe all the time spent trying to break through to get him is not worth it. So it'll be curious to see, like, which strategy ends up being more lucrative here. And we're seeing the D-Lunars at Defend, so this is actually not a terrible place to find them, but especially when you have aim and power. So I think, right, you don't get the they don't start counter virusing you unless you use oh heck, well, he just lost, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're still pretty powerful between their attacks. Moving into the back row, as Blaze is just doing right now, it seems to be a smart decision here. Has those Cure 2s that can be thrown and actually deal damage because they are considered undead. That might be the way to deal with this. Kohrek does have that Quake Kid in the group now, as defeated Baigan. And so now does have one thing that moonblazewolf does not have, and that's a source of black magic.
Yeah, those level 2 spells are going to make a lot better work of the D-Lunars. In fact, I don't think you can cast spells and they don't start doing their reflect viruses that'll instantly kill you. So that's going to be a huge boon for him as well. But yeah, the Cure 2s should finish this job up pretty well as long as Blaze doesn't get hit too hard.
I mean, that is, of course, if Kohrek decides to go to Fabul as well. Again, with the pan available, there's the option of skipping that and trying to route it all in one go, and that's something that I know that there's some people who really like to do that if that's possible. So we'll see if that's in the cards for Kohrek today. But it looks like Blaze is better positioned here in the back row with this second attempt at these D-Lunars.
Yeah, this strategy's worked out a whole lot better. Those cures are just coming out fast and furious, and he's able to take care of it with, not even really having to worry about healing all that much, although his characters are a little spicy right now.
Kohrek now making the trip through Antlion Cave. Doesn't seem to be doing as much looting as we saw moonblazewolf go, so if he skips that save room, might miss out on that curse string that moonblazewolf pulled up in here a little bit earlier. So that'll be, now Kohrek has one thing that moonblazewolf doesn't have in that Palom, and moonblazewolf has one thing that Kohrek doesn't have in that curse string, and those are both real significant differences, especially when we come towards the end game. Palom a little bit more for the early, curse string more towards the end.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah. Now we're kind of seeing a little bit of, now Kohrek is kind of going over what moonblazewolf already did. I think Blaze, despite the fact that he's had a couple of wipes, it seems like he's kind of ahead by an entire check.
Yeah, I think the fact that he didn't go back for that Palom saved him a bunch of time, but we'll see if the extra firepower that Kohrek has in that Palom is going to let him catch up just overall as the longer the seed goes around as well.
Yeah, it adds up over time, right? Like it only takes a couple levels to get those level 2 spells, and then only a couple more levels to get a virus. Ooh, by the way, we see a Thunder Claw and a bunch of Boomerang, a bunch of cool stuff in that weapon shop.
The almighty Thunderclaw. Ooh, and some good items here. Vampires, Thor Rages, and Life Potions are all very useful. Well, the Thor Rages less so, since we already found Kainazo at the bottom of Antlion Cave. But there's one that I like to have a couple just in case.
Oh, and I didn't realize it. I guess Defend got the spoon. So yeah, that spoon will be good for throwing at some fools at some point. Or possibly if you get an Eddie, you'll have a spoon word. You never know.
Yeah, never count out Edward if you're able to equip the spoon to him.
Yeah, he doesn't really work out great end game like Z fight because he's just going to get beat up in the first even nerfed Big Bang usually. So I think at that point you want to have him hopefully have an edge to throw it, but early mid game he can absolutely demolish stuff like almost as well as a Crystal Sword Cecil can.
Looks like Kohrek wants to get Kane into his team as well, heading over. Well, I guess he hasn't seen Kane yet, but it's going to Baron. We'll see if he makes that Baron in defense thing. Now he's getting the news that it's Kane and Mom Bomb. And yeah, he's going to go and make a play here. So that's interesting. And now moonblazewolf does want that Palom. Heads back up to Mount Hobbs.
Yeah, don't blame him. That's going to be some power. So hopefully now he's going to be a little more equipped to take it out. I'm guessing that Yang with power, now that he's actually got a couple of levels in him. Ooh, and there's some vampires too. I didn't realize he'd actually bought those. So yeah, that's going to make this fight way faster. So that's really, I think, the thing is that'll get through this way faster.
Yeah, a lot of this game is really knowing what you have available to you and making use of it at the right time. And we're seeing that in spades here. And as Kohrek got the Palom a little bit earlier, but it was a much longer fight than we're seeing Blaze have right now.
Oof, and you just saw that explode. That took out Palom, but did almost tons of damage. Kohrek is having trouble even getting through this first fight and looks like, and has to reset there. That's how nasty that is a first fight, even though that's normally a 400 HP spot can be. And Kohrek looks like he's going to come back to that later and give some other stuff a try. I wouldn't be surprised if, he's going to check out Ordeals now, I think. Or not.
Yeah, that was the pump fake there. Looked like Ordeals, but it's actually Fabul. Now, yeah, I think that's one of those spots where I think once you get a few more levels and Yang starts building up his HP pool, it won't be nearly as difficult. But at lower levels, that Mom Bomb there is very scary.
Yeah, I think with the current crew, if you get them through Ordeals, they will absolutely have the hit points and levels to be able to take on that Mom Bomb without a problem, and hopefully then not have to face some sort of nightmare in the second spot, but who knows what that is yet. But yeah, I think Ordeals is probably the more realistic play for this crew right now.
And so, yeah, that little wipe over in Baron did, in fact, cost Kohrek a little bit there as well. So now we see, as you mentioned before, it kind of felt like Blaze was about one check ahead, and now I think it's really coming in. But remember, Kohrek did do a bit more shopping and everything beforehand too. So some of that balances out a little bit. But we'll see how it plays as far as the rest of the game, because this has been actually a more rough early game than most of the seeds that I've seen.
Yeah, they just the fact that there have been resets off of 3 different bosses so far from both of our racers is pretty telling about that. Because Mom Bomb in that spot's tough, Baiken in any spot's tough. The D Lunars and with the crew and the DPS they have right now, it can still be pretty tough. So yeah, this is definitely interesting, and hopefully Ordeals will bring some spice here. Well, hopefully for us viewers anyway. With these 3 bosses.
But these D Lunars, Kohrek has got a lot better setup for that fight than Blaze did. With that Palom in the crew, that's just so much more damage that you're able to do without just resorting to throwing those cure potions. So able to get through there on the first try rather efficiently, just well done there by Kohrek. And so that's going to save a little bit of time than we saw moonblazewolf do a little bit earlier. So that's nice.
And that time is going to continue adding up, I think, because now one thing that Blaze does not have going into this fight is the same number of level 2 spells that Kohrek has. So that those kind of things might come back and make Kohrek's trip a little bit quicker depending on what happens here, because he already has the XP and.
The difference between 1 or 2 levels in the early game is big. Later in the game, 1 or 2 levels, other than certain thresholds like learning a particular spell or something, but 1 or 2 levels usually doesn't mean that much in the later part of the game, but in the early game it can be huge.
Wow, and another wipe on moonblazewolf's side. That plague, I saw those numbers just dropping on the countdown timers like lightning. So probably not going to be able to. I think he tried to just push through it and not worry about the countdown, but I'm guessing at this point he might have to knock somebody off and bring him back.
Yeah, I don't believe Blaze has access to any sort of bow and arrow. And of course, we don't have spears or boomerangs with no canes or edges. So some of the ways to deal with that extra damage to Plague as a flying enemy won't take place. Now, Kohrek does have a bow and arrow, an archer bow, and I believe some mute arrows from his shopping and extra looting. So that's something that could be something that Kohrek could use against that Plague once it comes. But Blaze does have more of those vampires using him now. We'll see if it's going to be enough, as that countdown is still getting close.
I think yep, I was 500 to 600 each. That was a really good way to get through that fight, considering how annoying that was going to be. I think Blaze did a great job there. That's really cool. That's expensive as a fight, because I think he used 4 or 5 vampires, and I think they're 4,000 a piece. But still,
they're pricey.
He took advantage of them and utilized them in the best way possible. I think he definitely got through that faster and didn't have to worry about dealing with being beat up and then having to bring somebody back to life and all that nonsense. And now he's got a different he's got the red robe here, and he's going to be facing off instead of the purple robe and facing off against the dark imps, which will be punchy. I don't know how difficult they will be though if you have a level 2 spell casting Palom.
He did find some of those Hourglass 2s in the Watery Pass. Or was that might have been Kohrek. Oh, now I'm trying to remember. He's got Boreas though. Those will help.
They were in the Watery Pass. I believe moonblazewolf did Watery Pass, right? Oh, and speaking of bad second bosses, Evil Wall at the karate spot is not pleasant. So after Kohrek did take out that bomb in the Baron guard spot, but now has to deal with an Evil Wall here, and Evil Wall is going to be punchy. And this spot is slow, but Evil Wall cheats the ATB pretty well, so it doesn't really matter. You're going to have to deal with those hits.
Looks like moonblazewolf taking time to life glitch these dark imps too. That's how important that little extra bit of experience in this early game can be, because this isn't a spot with a ton of experience there, but it's enough to make a difference this early in the game. This Evil Wall though, yeah, it's a tough one. The fact that it's slow helps, but still, it's going to be a tough. If you don't have that extra, oof, I don't know who. Oh, no way to. Ooh.
I think he did that intentionally because of the
Yeah.
heals. Yeah, see, bringing him right back to life. It's just that he was almost stone. I think that's why he did that.
Yeah, I agree that that's why I did it, but I don't like the time. Ooh, I don't know if I'd want to invest the time in this fight right now when you've got other checks that are available to you in the overworld. But if this pays off, this could be huge for Kohrek.
Yeah, it's tough. Bomb, you kind of want to just keep going through it. Moonblazewolf got a thing, and the window
That
like
was
popped and
so
disappeared.
fast.
I couldn't actually see it. I don't know if anyone else did. Anyone in chat see that?
It looks like our tracker got it. It looks like it was the Baron key.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Tracker. Thank you, Aegis, and thank you also Dathis for restreaming. All our restream team is putting in the hard work to bring this to you, so thank you, all of you. And speaking of Baron guards, then Blaze is taking them on. Unfortunately, this is a more free fight. I don't think you really want to see this in this spot if you're racing.
This has been a very meticulous fight with against this evil wall for Kohrek. Making use of the bear ability from Yang to just buff his defense to try to keep those punches at bay, and now able to revive and make use of the extra firepower from the Palom. Also use bluff to buff that. So, like, this is a long fight, but it's been very effective.
Now that the bluffs are done, I mean, it's probably like one more fire 2 away from finishing this fight. So that's huge.
That was patience, and now he's rewarded with Dragoon and an item. There's the magma key.
Wow. So bam. Just like that, Kohrek puts in all that work and now gets access to Underground. Blaze will potentially not be seeing that for a while. It depends on what he ends up doing. Now that he has that Baron key, it might behoove him to try and check Baron. But, you know, he may also try and do the in while he's there.
Another interesting choice, Moonblazewolf took a random encounter up here on the top of Mount Ordeals. Looks like probably wants to get Palom to the virus, is my guess of the reason for this, before heading to Baron Inn. Or Baron proper if he decides to go that route.
Well, and the other thing is now that he has, with Baron Key, you know, going to take on the Baron throne, he does know the Beigen spot is an antlion. So, you know, you definitely want to have the higher level spells to take him on, because if you're trying to do punches, you're going to be getting counterattacked over and over again. It's going to be a real pain in the neck.
So yeah, I mean, that's just one of the things we're not accustomed to seeing random encounters in Free Enterprise at all, but under this flag set, you can, under the options menu, toggle random encounters on or off. And if you're just a little bit of experience away from a key spell like Virus or Berserk, then you can turn them on, take that encounter, and get it before having to fight a tough boss. So that's a little bit of preparation that we saw from Blaze there that we don't see a whole lot in Free Enterprise, but it's neat to see when we do.
Yeah, there's a little utility just turning the encounters on quickly, especially since Can't Run is not on. You could go into a fight and, like, let's say you have to beat up one of your characters because you don't want them to get any XP because they're the agility anchor or whatever. You can take them out before the fight, and it's just going to add a little less, like, you know, annoyance during the fight. You don't have to deal with it during the fight instead. So there's definitely a little bit of use for that. But yeah, generally nobody turns it on because who wants encounters on intentionally?
Right. We see one thing that might be costing Kohrek time that we won't see on Moonblazewolf is it looks like he popped into the armor shop there. Might be just face checking to see if he can find a curse string. We know that Blaze won't have that issue at all. In the meantime, Blaze is going into a gated equipment shop because we've got that Baron key now, so he can check this locked shop in Baron.
That was actually one of the biggest bummers of a locked Baron shop that I've seen. Like, the only thing that he found of value in there was a fire claw, which, I mean, he didn't have. That's useful, but yeah, there was not a whole lot of good stuff there. Sometimes you'll see, yeah, really like spicy gear.
Kohrek taking the time to check a few chests here in the Sylph Cave. I saw that he picked up a Bacchus wine out of it, and that's a pretty nice pickup.
Oh wow, nice. I'd be reticent to check these before I check shops, though, because yeah, I mean, like, finding a Bacchus is nice, but you know, it could be that Tamara has Bacchus for sale or something like that as well. But But yeah, he's obviously just going through and getting the pan checks. He gets 3 more key item checks quickly that Blaze will not be seeing yet. So that could give him a lot of really good information or objectives.
It's also going to be interesting for routing purposes once Blaze is done with this Baron in fight, if he decides to just go through the Baron check because he's there. And plus, that's another couple boss checks and a character check. We might find that Sid, we might find that Pale Dim there. Rather than going straight to the underground like we see from Kohrek, we don't know when or if Kohrek's going to route Mount Ordeals into his play as well.
Yeah, exactly. And now Blaze is facing off against that evil wall and just got thumped by that evil wall with his Yang in the front position, and Palom just gets one shot. So yeah, this is definitely just one of the grosser fights you can find just early game like this. It's evil wall will mess up your day almost anywhere he is though.
Yeah, any spot that has a strong physical attack, Evil Wall is very scary. Was that the pink tail?
That was a pink tail and a rat tail, both tails. Sheila holding the tails for some reason, I don't know. She collects to collect tails? I don't know, is that like a thing?
Well, there's at least one other character in the game who does collect tails, so I guess it is a thing.
Yeah, that's true. Now, unfortunately, neither of those can be turned in because we need the hook to get the hovercraft to be able to go over to the Adamant Cave to turn them in. But that means we are now halfway to getting the pink tail objective 3 also completed. So that's a pretty huge deal to be grabbing that. And, I guess if Blaze can make it through this, he'll be on his way to doing the same. But wow, he is getting thumped on this fight here.
One other item that I know Kohrek used in this fight that I don't know if I saw Blaze do at the beginning of this was throw a silk web. That might be what you need to do to kind of give yourself more of a chance. Blaze says, nope, not going to bother with it quite yet. Let's go and do Baron proper before trying that again.
Oof, well, that is a bit unfortunate. We obviously do know that leads underground. And he is now fading it, at least for the time being. Obviously, unless he finds a hook in here, he's most likely going to be going back to that because he's going to have to get through. So, hopefully for his sake, there's something useful or lucrative in here that he can get. Like you said, there are multiple boss checks to look at, and we need to find both a Pale Dim and potentially a Mist Dragon. And then there's a character check. We still have to find that Sid. So those could both be really useful. So this might not set him back, but it is unfortunate that he couldn't get through that fight, and we'll have to do it over again.
Yet another overworld fight takes a runner. This overworld is one of the tougher ones we've seen, or at least personally that I've seen in this event. So continues to wreak havoc. Kohrek now heading up to Mount Ordeals is not going to miss out on this Baron key so long as he beats all the bosses. Now he's a bit higher level now. He's got that extra support with Kane as well, who has a Gugner's Spear. Pretty good equipment setup for him. So I think he's got a better situation than Blaze did when he first went up here.
Yeah, he'll be going through that. Well, I would say going through that faster, but Blaze did obviously incorporate the vampire strat, which was pretty fast on the first boss, but definitely has better gear, better levels, all that kind of stuff. So this is going to be an easier way through for him. I feel like Blaze has been going faster, but also has been getting a little more hurt by the bosses, because I think he's wiped on like at least 3 different bosses at this point. So he probably feels a little hurt by doing that. Like, you got to feel a little behind when you keep wiping the bosses and having to redo them.
And I think that's kind of like he's going in and like hitting all these bosses at a little bit less level of preparedness because of that, since he's been going a little bit faster, and that might be what's accounting for some of that difficulty that he's been having with it. Whereas Kohrek has been playing a little bit more meticulously, but is not having as much problems with more of the bosses. So this plague is going very well for him, though.
Yeah, when he has access to Kane, and Kane, I assume, is using a spear, because spears are right. Is it spears are strong against flying enemies? And so that would be. And then in the middle slot, he's got extra accuracy, so he's absolutely thumping that plague with that Kane doing jumps, like did over 1,000 damage in one shot.
Plus, he got the Star Veil up before the initial count hit, so that count is never going to wear down. Plague is just going to be doing count every single turn. There's no chance of a wipe here.
Yeah, so literally free. Nothing can make him lose here. But we're gonna see if Blaze gets any pay dirt here, and the king on the throne. We haven't seen any of the super spicy bad bosses, but we also haven't seen the super free ones either. So those are still on the table.
He did make short work of Antlion. Dark Knight Cecil in this spot, I don't think is going to be particularly difficult. I think he's got enough HP on Yang to tank this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is, yeah, it's not even 100 per. In fact, I think actually, yeah, Palom might survive this. Yeah, it looks like it. So yeah, this is definitely a free. This is a place that if you're a runner, you want to see DKC, because now you don't have to deal with some crazy nightmare spot where he's doing like 1,200 damage to everybody per wave.
But that is not the pale dim that Blaze was looking for. There still is the character check here, so he's going to be crossing his fingers and hoping for seeing Sid here.
Absolutely. And then obviously key item could be super important. There could be music, It could be the moon, it could be just about anything. So, he could get pay dirt through that.
Earth Crystal would be one that I bet he'd like to see, but that is Porum.
The other twin, not who you're looking for. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of utility because you can use the twin spell, but you really don't need to do that stuff because Palom's got all the level 2s. So Porum's just kind of a dead weight, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, if you need an agility anchor against a particularly tough boss at this point of the game, maybe. But other than that, you've got Rosa up to the point where she already has Berserk. You've got Palom up to the point where he's got at least Virus. So you don't really need Porum right now. If you're lucky and find like 2 heroin robes, maybe.
Now, all that said, I think the main utility of Porum, which is actually not awful, is that you have exit in a few levels. Like she gets exit relatively early, so you'll be able to get out of stuff. Ooh, a Murasame in that pot. So this whole check was nothing, unfortunately. And Blaze is going somewhere. I don't know. Well, maybe not, because I don't think there's any other checks left for him to do at this point.
Yeah, I think maybe he was thinking about going somewhere, and then he's like, wait, I need to go there. Oh, he's going to face check this Miscave boss.
Oh, has anybody? I don't think Kohrek did that yet.
No, nobody's checked this. We saw I believe, Vanilla Octomam in the waterfall. But now we've got Ashura here. That's not a boss we're looking for. So yeah, yes. It might just be this Baron Ian that's holding Blaze back right now.
Yep, that's literally the thing. So now Blaze hopefully will also check that Odin spot if he's doing boss, spot checking as well, because if nothing else, I mean, even if it's not the thing he's looking for, it could be a free boss. You could absolutely take out King Queen Evelyn down there, for free with this crew. But he is going to try and take out this evil wall again, and hopefully make a little bit better work of him.
Yeah, he's got a couple more boss worth of experience now, as well as an extra body to be targeted during the evil wall portion of it. So he does stand a much better chance now. Meanwhile, Kohrek has completed Mount Ordeals, gets that Baron key, and now it's going to be interesting to see if he decides to go through that Baron sequence or goes for more of the underground checks, which are open to him as well. He's got a lot more choices at this point in time than Blaze does.
Yeah, I mean, Blaze was ahead by a check before the evil wall thing, but now I think actually Kohrek is kind of ahead by a check. I mean, Kohrek has not done Baron, which Blaze has done, which we know at least so far is not fruitful. But Kohrek has finished this fight that gets Magma Key and has actually gone down and done the whole pan turn in. So that's a lot of extra checks that he has gotten through.
That's true, but he landed in Baron. He's going to check these shops, but then if he's landing here, I'm guessing that he's going to go through that Baron sequence next, which, in a situation like this where you've got one boss hunt and one character hunt in the objective list, Baron Key is one of those places that you really want to check because you get both of those types of checks in the same place.
Yeah, tremendously. I think at this point, if you're looking for a character check, like there's 2 places obviously wide open. That's Dwarf and Baron, and I think for different reasons they are both useful here. So, I definitely don't begrudge him making this check. I think it's a good idea. Obviously, given what we know, it's not immediately helpful, but it's definitely a smart move. And the Magma Key has been obtained by Blaze. He made much quicker work of that evil wall. Whew, way better. So he is going to be heading underground shortly.
I think a combination of having those extra levels and that extra character, and knowing that it's coming, both of those really played into being able to handle it a lot better this time around. And now we're back to pretty close to even, because if Blaze goes and does that pan sequence while Kohrek does that, finishes this Baron sequence, that's really close between these two runners.
Yeah, that's true. You're not wrong, right? Because yeah, obviously, like this is good. Baron takes a bit of time, and I mean, going underground and doing the whole walk down and getting the 3 checks, it takes a little time. So yeah, they're probably about even. Now I don't know if Blaze is necessarily going to take that route. He might go check out the Feymark freebie. We haven't seen that yet. You might go check out some shops first. Like there's definitely other ways he can go about this that might not be key item checks, but will be extremely lucrative for him.
And it might be that if he feels like he's got enough levels, he's got enough firepower, might go ahead and try that Dwarf Castle check as well. 2 bosses and a character. Again, routing both the boss checks and the character checks together, especially in places where you get key items like Baron, like Dwarf Castle, for the other 3 objectives as well. I mean, all of that's pretty good.
Not even just that. Actually, you also get a 3rd check, so to speak, because you get to see. Or wait. I'm sorry. What am I? No, I'm thinking the wrong place. Never mind. I was thinking you saw a boss from another location. That's not right. You see the Golbez spot from another location. I got that dyslexic. Oh, but Kohrek did find that cursed ring. So there's a cursed ring and Baron in those 3 chests there. So he now has also that cursed ring utility that Blaze got earlier.
It looks like Blaze is going to route that the Feymark check in first as well. So this is going to be one check that Kohrek hasn't made yet. We'll see if he decides to check those bosses down at the bottom. For the vast majority of bosses, probably doesn't have the firepower to take them out quite yet. But knowing if there's a Lunar Sparkle and if you go in and see if it's pale dim or something like that, can be really important knowledge to get early as well.
Well, and I think I believe it was Blaze who got the hourglasses, because I think he's the one who did Watery Pass. Oh, he just got packaged. That's another character check. That's spicy. So if he finds something that can be hourglassable, that could be helpful. And he just found coffins in the shop. So yeah, hourglass plus coffins is going to take out actually a couple of different free boss fights. So that could actually work out really well. Even if he finds them here, he could definitely still take them on.
I think it's Kohrek who has the hourglasses. Moonblazewolf checked like the back of the Watery Pass, but not the front. And Kohrek checked the front and not the back. And that's why, since they both checked part of it, it got me confused a little bit. But I believe Kohrek has the hourglasses, not Moonblazewolf.
Oh, right, because yeah, that's right. Kohrek was checking that when Blaze was checking Damcyan where he found the cursed ring.
But Blaze did just pick up an hourglass in a chest in the save room, so
there you go.
Your logic is back on.
Yay! I did it right, even though I started wrong. We'll work with it.
Yep, it works in the end, so that's great.
And came with a rune axe. That ain't bad. Put him in, if you can middle slot him at some point, maybe give him a little extra accuracy. But yeah, that rune axe will do some serious work, especially if you come across Magus Sisters in some gross place. Right?
The Magus Sisters, definitely you like to have that on. We've already seen Ashura and we've already seen the Baron Guards. Those are the other 2 that I really like it for, but those Magus Sisters still loom out there and they can be very scary in some spots. We see a blue robe, and we're going to see if this is the Water Hag or if it's the Gauntlet. It is the Gauntlet.
That's the Gauntlet. So yeah, Odin in a bad spot. Odin at Leviathan's not awesome because you got some speed and those punches are going to just one-shot you. So you can't take that on anytime soon. But yeah, that Gauntlet's going to take a while. It'll be nice if he gets a little more levels. You could come back and do that and actually get a little grind on. But for the time being, he's absolutely not ready to do that. And it would obviously behoove him to check things faster anyway. So he's probably going to go end up taking those pan checks now.
But Kohrek now taking the time to check what Blaze didn't, and that's that basement check, and sees the Karate Man Yang there. No way to cheese that fight right now, so easy reset there.
Yeah, if you can't ouch through that with a Cecil, those punches are going to be just tremendous. So now it looks like Kohrek might be heading to Dwarf. Gonna do the other character check that he has available. But Blaze does have that one extra check because if Dwarf doesn't have it, Package Spot could. So I bet when Blaze goes up and does that pan check, it would behoove him to go check the package spot as well and see if Sid happens to be there. Or maybe if, oh no, well, I guess it would be a dupe Fu if it was, but somebody else could.
Kohrek now getting ready for the first fight, and looks like it's going to be a Mylon of some variety.
Of the Z or non-Z variety. Either way, pretty easy in this spot. A lot of HP, but I don't think it'll be a problem.
Well, that might be some technical difficulties, so we'll hope to get Kohrek back right away. But I believe the Fire 2 of Palom is going to be really effective in taking down Mylon Z there as well. Meanwhile, Blaze heading back to Full, going to be rewarded with those 2 tails.
Yeah, definitely not going to be upset about that. So yeah, he's obviously we don't know where Kohrek is at the moment, but yeah, this is gonna. I think this puts him ahead a little bit, but we'll see what that dwarf castle check brings.
Yeah, it's going to be really, if there's some important progression, or a Sid or a Pale Dim, like those are the sort of things that'll really make Dwarf Castle big. But I can't imagine it's going to be too long before Blaze heads there as well. We might see him make the package check to see if that's where Sid is, because that's kind of the only other thing that I think would make a ton of sense for Blaze to go to right now. I mean, you can tell me if you think of anything else as well, Brown.
I mean, given what he so obviously there's still a boss out there you need to find, and still maybe a Mist Dragon that you need, but and also a character. So you want to be checking character spots, you want to be checking boss spots. I don't think you'll go if you see if you see a second Porum, you're not going to be going through and checking that package boss. But
right,
if it's either Sid or something, or maybe an Edge you want, or a Cecil or something, maybe potentially you walk through and see who that boss is, because just to get that character that's going to be decent. I don't think that's out of the question. Well, there's the Mist Dragon though at Golbez's spot, and Rydia was the character, so the character is still at large. Sid is still at large, but we do have a bonus round in Dwarf Castle.
And the package check is a duplicate Porum there.
Yeah, nope, that's a reset. That's exactly what I said and exactly what happened. But yeah,
so yeah, he's heading straight to Dwarf Castle. I just think this makes so much more sense than something like Keyless Tower at this time.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, especially because you've got a character check in there, which we know is Rydia, so that's not going to be extremely helpful at the moment. But and we get the Ghost Hand. I forgot. I love that. Whenever you get Mist Dragon at Golbez's spot, the hand does get sometimes affected by the pallets of the actual boss sprite. I don't know exactly how it works, but when that happens, we get a really cool Ghost Hand from the Mist one.
It's almost fitting since it's the Mist and the Ghost and everything like that. So I always like that one.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not against it. It's awesome. It's super good looking too.
Just a life staff as the item. I mean, it is a very good staff for Rosa in the end game, but the real reward is the demist. So we'll see how soon it is before Kohrek heads up there.
Yeah, I mean, now demist is off the table. You're only looking for the objective character or the objective boss, which is good to get out of the way, just to have that knowledge. But yeah, obviously the extra check will be good. So hopefully Kohrek doesn't wait on that too long or forget it, which can unfortunately happen because it's something that's a little further away. You just finished the boss. Maybe you kind of don't think about the aftermath to go swing by there. I've definitely made that mistake a couple of times.
That's one that's happened to the best of us. I think almost everybody who's played a significant amount of free enterprise has had that time where it's like, I've checked everything. Oh wait, I forgot to go back to Mist after beating demist.
Yeah. The only reason I'm not as bad at it as I could be is that my tracker actually has a little thing to check off when you beat Mist Dragon, so then an objective pops up and I can tell. Otherwise, I would totally forget 90% of the time.
We see Kohrek make a little save outside of Sealed Cave. That makes me think that if this wasn't a key item down here, he might want to reset and go right back into Sealed Cave as the next check.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Sealed Cave is a great one to check. I mean, the downside is if you're not leveled for it, it's not as it's not maybe worth it. But there's a couple of boons to doing it. One is you can relatively easily, if you know how to set up the manipulation and everything, you can actually grind the doors and get pretty good XP off of it. But then the other nice thing is you get to see not only the boss, or not only the key item, but also the boss before fighting it. So you don't need to go through a long slog of a fight and then be like, oh great, I got a charm claw. You actually can find out beforehand if it's actually worth going through.
Kohrek doing a little bit more looting here in the underground and decided to loot the first couple of floors, and it's going to keep going down into this Feymarch. He's found 2 life staffs and a Stardust Rod. So his wizards now have such good gear.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, wow. He's trying to... because I guess, he's got the Quake loaded at the beginning, can just throw that right down and kill those warriors. So that's a quick monster box to get through and has the potential for the tier 7 loot.
Yeah, this was a real slick setup by Kohrek, using that curse ring on Forum in the middle to make sure that the Quake gets off before the first attack. So, yeah, very well played there.
And got a brilliant Bahamut for his radio, which he's already gotten rid of. So that's great. That's something you always see after you get a character and get rid of him is like their best item.
It is a decent little bit of a boost of experience with that Warriors fight though too. So it's totally not all for naught. Plus, able to loot the rest of those chests, and getting that Stardust Rod in particular makes Palam so much better. That is a big boost to his will or wisdom.
Right.
Wisdom for black magic, will for white magic.
I also have that problem because other games, wisdom is white magic, and so it's hard.
Yeah, I'm too used to Dungeons and Dragons where it's wisdom for clerics.
Yeah, same. And I think other games I've even had that too. But moonblazewolf makes it through the Dwarf Castle, so he's going to be getting his life staff shortly. Be curious to see where he ends up going now, because he already did check Feymarch, which Kohrek is checking now. So does he go check out that Luca? Does he go up to top to Keyless Tower? I think those are his 2 checks left. And he hasn't checked Odin's spot yet, but we know he won't be fighting that because
Kohrek getting the bad news that blue robe is in fact the alt gauntlet. Wants no part of that. Easy reset. So yeah, we're running out of checks. We've got that Sealed Cave. We've got the Keyless Tower, and we've got those 2 bosses at the bottom of Feymarch. Plus the Demas check that either one is checked.
It looks like Blaze is going to be beelining for that Demas check. That's something that Kohrek is not doing yet, so that might give him a time advantage, especially if it's something useful, which honestly, given the number of checks left, is actually pretty high odds. So I'm kind of curious to see what comes out of this.
Plus, Kohrek heals up, wants to take this alt gauntlet fight. This is a time investment, but this is a gamble that could be huge.
Well, so Miss Dragon gave a really good item that no characters in the party can currently use, but if that character is found, he is going to go burr.
Oh yeah.
Best weapon in the game, not even close.
Armed with Quake, most of these bosses, or most of these fights, because most of them are conjurer fights in this location. This Arachne is a tough one though.
Oh, and he doesn't have, it's not like he's floating. Oh, it didn't do that much damage, actually. That wasn't bad. Kohrek is going to get a really good second thing here, which is actually just get the grind is going to get him good XP. He's going to have a pretty solid advantage just based on that over what Blaze is doing right now.
Well, Blaze opting for Keyless Tower at this point, so we're seeing different gambles. I mean, almost everything's a gamble at this point. Nothing is a sure thing. So interesting take that we see one runner doing the alt gauntlet and the other doing Keyless Tower at this point.
Oh, I see our question. Arcoas is asking. Oh, maybe somebody already said it. Fusoya was in the bed for Sandruby.
Yeah, our runners would love to see the Sandruby right about now.
Oh, super, yeah.
They'd love to see Sid even more, but Sandruby would be very nice.
Yeah, I don't. Even if you're looking for a Sid, a Fu, you're very rarely going to be upset about finding a Fu instead.
Although he might be number 3 on Blaze's list with that crystal sword, and so the Cecil would be even better.
Yeah, you definitely want the Burr, but you know, as we've all the checks we have so far, there is no sighting of the Burr just yet. But you never know; you could be hanging out in darkness on the moon.
Ooh, heads up play on Kohrek to use the hourglass against the Clapper, probably the most dangerous enemy in this particular place to find the alt gauntlet.
Yeah, for sure. Clappers are real tough, and they will beat you the heck up. But he gets through that. I think that might have been the last fight, or maybe there's one more Clapper.
I think there's a double Clapper fight next.
Yeah. Oh no! Oh, that's right.
Oh, just a single Clapper.
It's a single Clapper without a summoner, or without a summoner. So that's the difference, I think.
Moonblazewolf finding the dolls at the top of tower. Easy to quake through that one. We'll see if he's rewarded.
Twin Harp, that's music. That's a required objective. Bam! That's huge. Blaze just got that and is going to take a bit of a lead here in the objective department. So that's pretty big. And he also did get another check of a boss because the spot that Dr. Luge is normally looking at is the Rubicante character. So we saw that is actually that's actually Dr. Luge. So that's one extra boss check out of the way. You don't need to think about that later.
Although the spot before Dr. Luge, which is the vanilla King Queen Evelyn spot, that's one that's always going to be in the back of people's minds.
Yeah. If you're going in there because you're doing let's say they don't have a Sid, they got to go in there and do the check. Oh, hi. So Kohrek just did that gauntlet and just got mega rewarded for it with Darkness Crystal. I don't know when Blaze is going to get to that. Obviously, Blaze has the one advantage of having Harp now. Who knows when Kohrek is going to get to Harp, because that's top of tower. If he doesn't see a tower key for a minute, he might not come back for this.
Yeah, this is really interesting. The divergence has really made it so these two runners now have very different kind of agendas based on the knowledge that they have and the items in their possession. So it's going to be interesting to see when they end up, or if they end up going back to the other places, because with only 4 out of 5 objectives required, there's a possibility that Blaze could find everything needed, including like a pass here on the blue planet, and be able to complete everything without it. Meanwhile, Kohrek has the way to Zeramis right now, and could find maybe a different jostling of those objectives where he doesn't need the Twin Harp in order to complete it as well. So it's just really interesting. Like, if this is the hook, that could be really interesting as well here in the Seal Cave.
What I think is really interesting is we actually just saw divergence, because Blaze got the Harp objective and Kohrek got Darkness Crystal, and now they've both converged on Luca Cave. But yeah, obviously, the item check and boss check are both incredibly helpful. But also, I don't know if either of them is considering doing the door grind. So I don't think we found Sirens yet. That might be helpful too. But it looks like they're just running through and getting that spot check before they move on, which I can't blame them. But I think
at this point, I think not committing to the door grind, because it is a bit of a long grind, makes sense. And even if you open up the minimum number of doors in order to get through, there's still plenty of doors left for a grind if you need it later.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's only, you have to go through 3 doors to get to the end boss, maybe 4,
something like that. 3 or 4. Yeah.
And then there's at least 6 that you maybe even more than that are just like the side doors that lead to other stuff. And the item here is a Legend Sword, so you're definitely wanting that back, because that's an objective right there. That's Forge. But who's this boss? The thing about it is, right now Kohrek has a much stronger party because he went through that gauntlet, got those levels.
That's true.
So I think he has a much better shot of actually being able to finish this Elements. That could be a little tough, but yeah, he definitely at least kind of throw down Fire 2s, and we'll see. I don't know if Blaze can actually do this fight though with his current party.
He's going to have to be really careful with how he does it. I don't know if this is one where you want to just trying to reflect Fire 2s to get through it. Looks like Kohrek is just going for power. So Zerk up by team, throw magic. I don't know.
Another advantage that Kohrek has is he got that Stardust Rod. So that's
Stardust Rod is huge.
Work on that Palom, right? Like he did like a huge amount of damage, and he's kind of blowing through the elements fight right now. Actually, doing a great job. But Blaze is not going to give up on this, and is absolutely going to try and do the same thing here. But I think maybe his strat is to do reflect casts, and skip the refill, which is not a bad idea because then you don't have to deal with all the annoying boss script changes and dealing with other tough bosses. That Ruby is super tough because he throws out like that group party glare, which I think would just wipe the party basically.
This is the magic power in this boss spot is very strong. So yeah, the full team glare is definitely scary, and they both had different ways to avoid it. Kohrek just powered through it fast. If you get through it fast enough, you don't need to see it. With Blaze, he's avoiding it, being a little bit more careful. As you mentioned, he's lower level, so he's well aware of how dangerous Rubiconte in this spot is. So pretty smart with how he's handling it. Kohrek, with those level advantage, able to get through it quite quickly.
The level advantage definitely got him through there. But Blaze's strat is pretty good. I mean, he's almost definitely not going to have a problem finishing this fight, simply because as long as he can keep folks up after they get hit, the Mylon spot of elements does not cast any spells. So all you're dealing with is those swings. So you can just keep reflecting spells and hopefully finish the job. But yeah, obviously now they're both going to shortly have Objective 1 completed. But again, still, Blaze does have that Objective 2 also in the wings, and I'm sure that he's done here, he's going to run over and do that harp.
And it's one of those things where when you've got the Darkness Crystal in your hand, how soon do you prioritize Keyless Tower? I think there's a lot of runners that will go straight to the moon at this point. Some runners like to do everything on the blue planet before they even take off for the moon. So there's just so many different things. The fact that Sid could be up there as the character on the lunar dais is another thing that might prompt somebody to go to the moon earlier.
Yeah, bingo. That's exactly what I was just about to say. The same thing. Yeah, they might want to forego going there because obviously, like if you can have a haunted moon and get everything done on the planet, cool. Then you don't have to even worry about raising the whale, and that's like takes a minute to go through that whole sequence. But when you're looking for a character that you could just absolutely just like face check and find, you definitely want to go up there and check. And Kukul's shop had was a protect ring, a glass hat, Artemis arrows, and some sort of apple. So not the best shop. Arty arrows are nice if you have a good bow for it, though. But probably not going to worry about that.
Yeah, I generally like seeing Arty arrows for sale there. But yeah, it's not the best, but not the worst. If you've got money for the protect rings, they can be very useful on your mages for the Zeramis by keeping them alive. But Blaze able to get through that with the reflex strategy. A little bit slower, but very safe. Just very heads-up gameplay there. Didn't have the power overwhelming that Kohrek had, so had to make do. Meanwhile, Kohrek now back to the overworld is going to get the bad news that this is a duplicate Porum here.
Yep, quick reset. No surprise.
We'll see if he goes on the other side because he hasn't picked up that crystal sword yet.
Good point. Yeah, he still has not done the Mist Dragon check. Does he remember that that's still there? Hopefully he doesn't. I mean, hopefully generally he does not forget. Obviously, like maybe that crystal sword doesn't actually do anything, but yeah, you don't want to forget the check and have that looming. Yeah, good. Okay, so he is going to get the burr even if he doesn't have the person to burr.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just something that could be eating at the back of your head. You could be halfway through the moon and be like, oh my goodness, I just totally forgot to check the D-Mist. Like, do I go back now? Like, if it's there, I'd probably just lose anyways. So it's just tough. You just like to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely ways that could end up changing your strat because, like, let's say you find an Earth Crystal and you're like, well, normally you might not go face check that Earth Crystal, but now you've got, also that Mist check that you forgot to do. And then that'll, then the Earth Crystal, maybe you'll go down and check that at the same time. And it could end up being lucrative or it could end up hurting, but ultimately, getting it out of the way is obviously the way you want to go.
Okay, so here is the launching of the big whale over on Kohrek's side. We'll see if Blaze decides to go to Cave Magnus first. Well, I mean, He'll probably do Cave Magnus before going back down to those Feymarch bosses, which is where the Darkness Crystal is. We'll see if Kohrek just checks the character right now, or like he's got a pretty strong team. He could do moon fights at this time.
Yeah, he's got like 4-digit characters. He's getting the grind on with that. With the gauntlet there at Ashura spot was definitely a lot of help in the XP department, and that's a leg up that Blaze does not have yet. Now, obviously, Blaze most likely is going to have to go through that at some point, so he will get those levels. But the early lead in levels is going to make bosses way easier for him.
So yeah, this is where it's going to be really interesting, because if this Cave Magnus leads to more progression, like the hook or something like that, or if Pale Dim is down here, like that could be really huge for Blaze. If this is above, Kohrek could have a huge lead at this time.
Yeah, I'd say in terms of advantages, having the harp for this is better than having the Darkness Crystal. But obviously both are good for different reasons. But the fact
That's
that
true.
A definite required check is good, because I mean, maybe not required. Obviously, we know where that is. Then we're just looking for a Sid, and then potentially a Pale Dim or a hook. So we really might be down to just one key item left to go mode.
We're going to get a quick check here on the character on the Lunar Dais, and then we're going to get some music. It's going to be about time for DJ Spoony B's Rockin' Tune, so we'll quiet down for just a little bit. But first, I want to see who that character is.
It's an Edge.
That's not Sid.
That's not a Sid. It's not a terrible character. I think he has 2 Murasames, but yeah, that's not a Sid. So still on the lookout.
All right, and enjoy some music now as the Twin Harp is coming into effect very shortly.
And just like that blazes through. That was Star Tropics. I don't know the name of the song, but what a happy ditty that is. Super enjoy it. But yeah, that was a free boss. Blaze was actually able to use Quake on them and take them out. And this is a spot with really bad magic. And he just got a pass, which is really interesting. So, if there's a possibility he can not have to go to Moon, that's still on the table, but kind of unlikely, because ultimately there's only, I guess there's 3 checks left, and they're all summon checks.
Right. He's either going to have to do that Alt Gauntlet, which we know will be his way to the Moon with the Darkness Crystal. That Odin fight is scary, man. I don't know about that. And then there's the one that's probably the fastest, but still has some hint of danger, is that karate fight in the bottom of Baron Castle, which Blaze hasn't checked yet. So he doesn't know that the Yang fight is down there.
Yeah, it'd be good for him to check that and know. But that Yang is going to be punchy. I don't, I think with his levels right now, he wouldn't stand much of a chance, like without more blinks and without more healing. So I wonder what he is thinking right now in terms of, okay, what's available? What are my options? What can I do? But checking that basement is definitely the start.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Meanwhile, Kohrek taking, once again, we're seeing the random encounters being turned on in this seed, taking some fights here in the lunar subterrane. He's got that 10 key item threshold, so he's getting a bunch of experience here. Since, this is just a prime opportunity, and since he just got Edge added to the team, wants to get him caught up, get some more firepower there before handling the moon bosses.
Yeah, the moon shop also had hourglasses in it, so the fact that he just took on those 2 dragons, that he probably was able to hourglass them and make them free, as opposed to having to deal with their constant incessant punching.
Yeah, they're very tough if you don't have a way to deal with them. Blaze now into that karate fight, not resetting out. With his full team, he's a little under-leveled, but I don't think it's too scary at this point for him. I think he should be able to handle it as long as he doesn't get super unlucky in this fight.
Yeah, I think it'll help him as long as he can get like enough healing to kind of get through it. But yeah, like that Rosa only took like 300 some damage off of that punch. Now she might have really good armor. I think she has a tiara on, but
I think she got that protect ring from, because I saw Blaze buy one protect ring in the Cocal shop. So that could help.
That's definitely going to save you from some punchy. But yeah, like even now Rosa's pretty weak. Okay, good. She got the Cure 3 off because that kick might have taken her out.
Now Kohrek into the Vanilla D Lunars fight and finds Bahamut. Interesting fight here. This spot has a lot of HP, so this is going to be multiple reflected mega nukes in order to get past this one. This is not as trivial Bahamut fight as it is in some other locations.
Yeah, and it's time consuming too, right?
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he doesn't have he can't be like shooting nukes out like he's doing, kind of chip damage a little bit to this boss. I mean, Quake is going to throw out some damage, but yeah, you're going to have to probably sit through 2 whole mega nukes, which means you'll have to get the walls on everybody, and then the walls might wear off before it's just going to be a little bit of a dance to it.
Well, and Blaze having a little bit of trouble, but able to get Rosa up right before finishing off the Karate Man, so she's going to get the experience for that too, so that's nice. And we'll see if this was all worth it in the end. Another Excalibur is not something that Blaze is going to be interested in at this time.
Yeah, that hurts. That's absolutely not what he wants. Getting the XP is a little helpful, but super not worth any of this time. So that sucks. But yeah, now obviously the only place he has to go is Fame Arch. He's heading there. So I think the next boss he will be taking on will not be that Odin, if I were to guess.
Right. I'm guessing he's gonna get that Darkness Crystal from the Gauntlet. This is one where it's interesting that he didn't reset out of that. It's like he wanted that extra experience from that fight for sure.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true, right? He could have just reset and not had to make that walk, but got some good levels out of it. One thing I think is interesting here, I don't think Kohrek had 10 key items when he went and did that gauntlet. I could be wrong about that. I don't believe so, though. Whereas moonblazewolf will, so he's going to be getting a lot more. He's going to be getting that double XP off of that. So that's actually going to be a pretty sizable grind. So like the stuff Kohrek is doing right now on the moon, maybe Blaze won't even have to do much of that.
Yeah, we'll see where he's at after the fight. The other question is, especially after the gauntlet fight, which we assume Blaze is going to take first, does he dare try the Odin fight at the Leviathan spot?
Ooh, and for that trouble, a lot of folks got beat up and didn't get a lot of levels on folks, but did get an Earth Crystal. So that's 2 character checks right off the bat. Like it might behoove him to not hang out too much longer and go down and check 2 spots because you've got 2 potentials for Sid.
Also 2 potentials for Pale Dim. There's 2 boss spots in the Tower of Zod as well. So it's just a really interesting decision making at this point if you stay on the moon and just continue to do the checks down there, or if you say, hey, this might be the last two things that I need.
So just as like a head check here, what characters or character spots have we not seen yet? We've got the two Earth, we've seen Sand Ruby, but we have not seen Earth, we've not seen the Hook character, we've not seen the Giant character. Is that everybody?
I believe you are correct.
Yeah, so when you think about it that way, like Earth is basically like it's not exactly this, but it's basically a 50-50 chance of getting that Sid. And that's pretty good odds for it.
It is pretty good odds. I think it's hard to say no. But the other hand is, like, this isn't going, like, it wouldn't be, even if it is Pale Dim and Sid, unless there's also the Hook there, it's not going to be everything that he needs. Well, it could be the Hook there.
Yeah.
You do get a key item check.
Exactly, and I mean the arithmetic changes a little bit because, as we know, Blaze did the music and got pass out of it, so he now knows he can go back to Earth and do a check, and if he gets go mode, he just walks it because he doesn't have any actual terrestrial checks left to do except that pink tail. But even then, if he gets back and do it, whereas Kohrek does not have that pass, and so if potentially like Hook is his last thing, he will have to go. He could have to go back to Moon and forth and back, a couple times. So it does change the strategy a little bit.
Meanwhile,
moonblazewolf, great check here and going on and taking out the gauntlet here, and we'll get rewarded with that darkness crystal.
I'd really kind of like to see Blaze take on that Odin because, like, the real miracle pickup is the Hook. That's where, like, because you got that rat tail check out there, you've got that, pink tail turn in available to you. So that's what I'm really keen on finding somewhere. And so I'm hoping stuff there. Looks like Kohrek has decided to stay on the moon, at least for now, as we see he's in the fight with Valveless. I imagine, based on the background that we're seeing here, that this is in the vanilla White Spear location.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think he walked all the way over to Crystal Altar. Does Crystal Altar have the same scene? I know that the Ogopogo spot is different. I can never remember.
The Ogopogo spot is different. The other four spots in the lunar subterranean have this background.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's probably this, and that spot's not terribly high HP, I think. So should be relatively quick work here.
But yeah, Kohrek able to not be tempted by that Earth Crystal, at least yet. So we'll see. Since he's right in the neighborhood, this one's right next door, and I imagine maybe even that vanilla Ogopogo spot might be worth checking before seeing if that Earth Crystal pays dividends. Tower key.
That's actually, given what we know, that's like one of the best things he can find right now, because that's going to get him to check that tower. So he's going to find Harp at top of tower, and it's not going to take him a very long time to get there.
Well, the question is, where do you prioritize that when you've got the Earth Crystal in your possession already, and you're already sitting here on the moon? I mean, it's good, but it's still, I don't know, I think it's second or third tier on his checklist right now.
Agreed. Yeah, no, because Earth has 2 boss and 2 character checks and a key item. I think Earth is the best check left, period, bar none, for both of them, actually, because they're both still looking for a boss and a character. So, I think that would make sense to go there first, but I think then the tower would probably be the very next thing. Who knows? But Darkness Crystal is now in Moonblazewolf's possession. But does he fight that Odin now, or does he walk and go head to the moon immediately? It looks like he's... Well, I guess he doesn't have exit yet, so he might be making the walk to the exit, or he might be saving.
Looks like he's saving, so he might take a chance on this Odin fight. This could be huge. It could be rough. We've got the Magus Sisters in the vanilla Ogopogo spot. They can be pretty difficult here. Having access to Quake really helps, though. Yeah,
I mean, they've got a wow.
Yeah, Delta attack is no joke.
Yeah, Delta attack in this spot. This is super high everything. Super high HP, super high attack damage, super high magic damage. It's going to mess you up good.
I believe that's Elven Bow that Rose is using, berserked on herself. Throwing the spoon here. I love to see it in boss spots that are tough like this.
That's a good time to do it. Like when you're dealing with something nasty like this, you just kind of have to end it. Getting those shots off on Cindy when Zerks aren't necessarily going to hit, and you can do quad 9s basically. That's a huge deal. So that's going to shorten this fight by a mile. And I think on Blaze's side, I think that that Yang has a Thunderclaw, which is why you're seeing actual real numbers come out here. So now it's just a matter of does he get hit or not? Because unless without a blink on him, he's going to get rocked. But the quad 9's coming out from Palamute doesn't hurt either. And done. That damage was hard. Didn't even worry about anything. Just let folks get laid to waste and took him out. But Cure, one of the first items I've ever seen out of a boss. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Blaze. Kohrek getting an Avenger, it's also not something that's super great, but it's at least something that Kane can use.
Yeah, Kane will get some
work Cure 3 though. For such a hard boss to just get a Cure 3 is, that's got to be disheartening.
That stinks. Thankfully, it wasn't. I mean, he had already gotten Darkness before that, and actually, he didn't spend that much time on that Odin's fight, so it wasn't like he banged his head against it. He went in one time and zerked and lit 3'd and finished it in like a minute and a half. But yeah, obviously Moon is his play now because I don't think he has any other plays. Maybe shopping here for a second. Or actually, did he check that spot? Maybe he doesn't know Fu is there. I don't think he does.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's going to get the word that this is, so that he knows that if he finds the Sand Ruby on the Moon, he doesn't have to run back when that happens. So
yeah, you don't want to have to make that trip and not have that knowledge. I think when you have your objective, it would behoove you to get that check done and get that knowledge in your hands pretty early. Definitely before you have to go to the Moon.
Absolutely. I think we've actually got a race here still. One thing that we haven't mentioned, and I'm kind of loath to, but there is the possibility still that both Sid and the Pale Dim are on the Giant.
Ooh, I like that. Ooh, yeah. Tell me more. I'm here for it.
Well, I'm just saying it because we're getting close to that. We've got less and less boss checks, less and less character checks that we're seeing throughout this. So the required giant is one of those things in this flag set. Ooh, there is that Sand Ruby. We'll see if Kohrek wants that Fu. But if you've got a situation like this with a character hunt and a boss check, or sometimes 2 boss checks, you could have it so that both of them are on the only place that you can fulfill them is on the Giant of Babel. We also have the flag of Vanilla Giant, so that if you go into the Giant, you can't leave the Giant, so you have to complete everything on the Giant, both boss fights, and sometimes they get really difficult there. Those are some tough bosses on the Giant.
Yeah, there are a lot of nightmares that show up in that element spot. The CPU is not as bad, although it's stronger, but the CPU fight is only like 20,000 HP, whereas the element spot is like 65.5, or it might even be more. There's a refill on it. I forget what the total is, but it's not. You don't want to have to face off against that unless you have to.
Yeah, the elements fight is an endurance fight. The CPU fight is a sprint, but they're both difficult in their own way.
I think neither player here has exit, or even exit items, because that's why I think we're seeing Kohrek actually walking back out right now.
That is tough after a bottom up play in the Moon to have to walk out of that. Ooh, that is kind of nasty.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Although obviously the fortunateness is that he has a couple things he gets to look at here. He got the Tower Key Earth Crystal and a free food with an exit if he wants it.
Now Blaze is going to have the opportunity to get edge on his team. We'll see if he takes up that opportunity.
That's a
It
negative.
says flat out no. I like my team. I'm cool with what I've got. Let's go.
Given the fact that he's got levels on him already, the fact that he had the 10 key items and got to take his whole crew through that gauntlet with double XP, and really everything else on the terrestrial, like he's literally beaten everything. I think the fact that he's just got like reasonable levels on everybody, he's got his anchor set, like everything is kind of just good. No reason to rock the boat at this point.
So this is the final boss in the lunar subterranean, Mylon and friends. So still no pale dim found. So there's a couple boss spots that are open to us that we haven't seen yet. There's the, if we get the hook, the King Queen Evelyn spot. There's the Bahamut spot we haven't seen yet. The two bosses in the Tower of Zot, the Tower Key boss, and then the two bosses in the Giant.
Right.
And I might be missing one, but that's off the top of my head. That's what we.
I believe that's everything. Yeah. I mean, obviously he doesn't know all of that. He doesn't know who's at heart. But yeah, given what we know, we don't know those bosses. So
yeah, dissatisfied in the chat, reminding me package boss.
Oh gosh, right, package.
Always
boss.
Forget about package.
Always
boss.
Forget about package boss. Everybody forgets about package boss because why would you want to do package boss? Although it may come to a point where they're like, where do I check things? I don't want to go to Giant. Check package boss. I mean, if you have a choice between. If you just are looking for a pale dim and you have a choice between going to Giant to find it on two bosses or looking at package on one, you take the package.
You do, because you don't want to have to go through everything in the Giant if you don't have to.
Exactly, yeah. And it would feel even worse if you went all the way through Giant and still had nothing. It looks like Blaze is kind of halfway down. He's on the crystal altar here. He's not going all the way down just yet.
Yeah, starting at this is what I call the Demarin special. And Kohrek has defeated the Mylon and Friends fight. I don't know if there's like I guess it could be Hook. Hook is the key item that you're really looking for right now.
Yeah, and a white spear.
That's a white spear.
Nope. That Earth Crystal spot is looking more and more lucrative. And obviously Tower is still looming. So yeah, Kohrek doesn't have all that many checks left to get the stuff he needs potentially, unless Giant has the goods. So I'm kind of starting to think, given what he's been able to do, almost full clearing the moon now, that Kohrek is a little bit in the lead. But it's close.
Yes, I would guess so too. But it still could go either way, depending on like Blaze having completed objective number 2 already. When he gets that Earth Crystal, I think there's more incentive for him to know about. He's got the Earth. He's got 2 objectives completed already, and he's got that pass in hand as well. Like I think there's more of a possibility that he could be one and done with that Earth Crystal than Kohrek was. So he might not full clear the moon.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Right. If he might face check that or whatever, do spot check, save scum that Earth Crystal and see what's there because, right, that could literally be go mode for him and it wouldn't even be that surprising. I mean, obviously,
right,
having 3 objectives in there is unlikely, super unlikely. It'd be immense if there were 3 different, if literally 3 objectives all came through Zod.
But that is a possibility. There could be Cecil, there could be Pale Dim, and there could be the Hook. Like, you could get the trifecta right there.
Totally. And if
which is why, like if I was Kohrek, I just don't know if I could have, like, the temptation was just too high. Oh, but that's a lunar sparkle.
Oh, hi. That's, it's just the wrong one. It's not a great, wrong lizard or wrong dragon. But actually, okay, so I guess that means, have all of the sparkles been accounted for? We've seen D-Lunars, we've seen Plague, I don't think we've seen Ogo yet.
I don't remember seeing Ogopogo, so I think Ogopogo is still looming, as well as, of course, the Pale Dim.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, what does Blaze do when he gets that Earth Crystal? That could be the decision that decides this match.
And this is the fight that yields the Earth Crystal, this Bahamut fight. So
exactly, both taking on different lizards.
Yeah, if moonblazewolf bails here and gets the goods in the Earth Crystal check, then he's in great position. If he bails here and the real key is that tower key, then Kohrek's in a much better position. If it's in the Giants, then it's still, I think, anyone's game.
Yeah, I mean, like, what we're talking about right now is really honestly like the kind of questions I'm looking forward to asking when we get them in an interview. Like when you know you have such and such left, and you all of a sudden get handed this thing that could have everything. What do? Do you stay on the moon, etc.? So, there's definitely a lot of interesting thoughts that are going through our runners' minds, trying to figure out the best course of action here and the most best odds and all that kind of stuff, or if there's even meta going on too.
You see Excalibur's being darted over on Kohrek's screen. You love to see it, making use of whatever you can to try to get this Wyvern down. Able to keep resurrecting characters that get knocked down after the nukes helps as well. But man, this is not an easy fight here, even if the nukes aren't super strong.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I think the way Kohrek is set up now is his Palom in the middle has a curse ring on. I could be wrong about that, but obviously his HP is pretty high. I know he has a curse ring, so it would probably be, given the fact that he's not like having a totally out there, kind of turns selection and stuff like that. I'm guessing that he does, because he does seem to have pretty good setup. Oh, and there we go. Wyvern is done.
Now, see if this is where that hook has been hanging out this whole seed.
Nope.
No, just a sense of it. No value in Game Bahamut tonight.
So yeah, the moon is indirectly, or it's directly haunted and indirectly not haunted, because it's gonna bring you stuff that's going to have what you need, but it doesn't actually have it there. There is Earth Crystal. So here's a question: what does Blaze do now? I mean, the problem is he also doesn't have an exit, I don't think, unless he got an item. So he would have to deal with walking it. So I think that might also change the arithmetic in his head too, thinking, okay, well, I don't want to have to walk all the way back and then all the way up again. Oh, he does have an exit? Thank you, Papazito.
Yeah, I believe his Porum is leveled up enough to have exit if he wants it.
Okay. But yeah, clearly he is saving and he's tenting up and getting ready to fight. So he's definitely sticking through this for a moment.
Wow, I want to ask him about that for sure.
Yeah, given what he knows, but it could just be he wants to bounce through these 3 fights and get, and he can come back and do the lower level, the stuff that's, the Pale Dim spot and Bahamut spot later. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe once he gets that tower key too, because the tower key is it the Pale Dim or the Pale Dim spot, or is it the?
It was that Valvolus.
Okay, yeah. Right. So that Val was on the White Spear altar, yeah. So once he gets that tower key, I think that's the definite call to go.
But he reset out of that. I think he's just face checking the bosses for Pale Dim right now.
Oh, that's a smart move though. You definitely don't want to just leave a face check that you could do in 3 seconds on the table. So maybe he just sees this face and says nah and then exits. Or not.
Or maybe he just doesn't like the Val fight there. This is all... Yeah, I'm not sure about his routing here. I'm really curious as to what his reasoning is. Because he's got the cane. He could take that Valvolus fight if he wanted it.
I mean, maybe his thought is, that fight's annoying and you don't get much XP out of it. You might as well do this one that's, annoying and you get XP. I don't know. Because I know White Spear offers pain and also the XP is garbage.
You're not wrong with that.
Oh, and that rune axe, though. That Kane has a rune axe on, so he's doing some work now.
And Kohrek getting a CPU fight in the vanilla Mega Sister spot, so that Pale Dim is still looming. One more boss check after that, but we also got the 2 characters up here, and we're going to see what those are very shortly. to see if this is going to be what puts Kohrek in the lead right here in the driver's seat.
Yeah, if Zot has it, I mean, it's tough to say what's going to happen here, because if Blaze can cut and run and go check, and he already has that check and tower done, but it looks, well, one character down. That's an edge. That's not it. So one more to check if that Sid is there. We have 3 character spots left. One left here, and then we've got Giant, and we've got Hook. Where is he? That's a Burr, though. You don't hate Burr, but you obviously want the Sid. But still, gonna make mincemeat of literally everything else if he wants. Although I guess he doesn't have levels, so at this point it's probably too late.
Yeah, it's tough at this point. But that crystal sword is so strong, you might want it anyways. But Kohrek says no. Here comes the boss. So Sid's still looming. If this is not Pale Dim, oh man.
And it's not. Oh my gosh. Wow. Still on. So yeah, Blaze could go back and face check that Earth Crystal, and he would not get, well, I mean, I guess there could still be a hook, but most likely not getting value. Yeah, oh, that's right, 50% now at this point, right? Because there's only 2 checks left that we don't already know, and that is Tower, and that is this.
Yeah, the Tower check, and then if you're looking for Pale Dim, if you get that hook, do you go all the way to that King Queen Evelyn spot? Oh man, it's tense right now. Like, when does Kohrek go to Tower? Like, if the hook is here, does he go to Tower?
I think if Blaze gets this Tower key and does not cut right now, I think he's in big trouble. I think if he has a shot if he leaves, but he's still going to be doing Zot first. Like, I don't think there's any question. So Kohrek is going to end up going through that tower and doing both at the same time. A Dragoon
That's just
Spear.
a Dragoon Spear. That means
so Tower has
Tower.
Tower has the hook. So Tower is hard required. Top of Tower having Harp, and Cannon Room having the hook. And that's, let's see, I'm trying to do math here. Nope, still not in go mode. Still needs one of the other 2 things. So that hook, he'll want to check the character at hook. If that doesn't have it, he'll want to check that King Queen spot for sure.
And after that, then it would be Giant.
Then it would be Giant. Then the Giant is the only one left. But really, at that point, you need a hard required Giant. Given all the stuff that funnels through here, like, they're not going to Giant for one of the 2 things. They're going to finish everything else off.
So yeah, Kohrek is going to have to full clear this tower right now.
And he's going to be pretty happy when he does.
Yeah, I just don't think this is the time for the Penguinator special right now, the half tower.
Yeah, no, it definitely is not. And he's going to get a pass after music. Like, so if he gets go mode and just runs through, he's going to be basically beelining it. And we're actually going to get early tower check information. Yeah, it makes sense to check. Well, and that's also not the boss. That's not it.
That is not a Pale Dim. So
down to 4 or 5 spots. 5 spots. We got package. We got 2, or no, I'm sorry, 4, because we know the one Eblin is Lugi.
Yes.
Okay. So it's one. It's King Queen package and 2 Giant. Yeah, it's actually 50-50 that the boss is on the Giant at this point. Amazing. wrong looking Pale Dim looking dragon there. That's not quite the right one, unfortunately.
Same sprite, not quite right.
Exactly. Ooh, Blaze is having a tough run through here, but he is still making some time. Hopefully he can get through this Val fight, because we know now that it's required. Yeah,
this is a safe fight, the way that Blaze is handling it, but it's not a fast fight. He decided to go the Zerker route instead of the King Jump route.
Right, exactly. Which given that he has a Pala, might have been good, but honestly, yeah, no, it's done. The Zerk's gonna probably be faster anyway, and he made short work of him. So he's gonna get that tower. What does he do? Does he finish? Does he book? He has not face checked the other bosses. Does he check them before he leaves? I wouldn't be surprised if he at least does that.
Well, there's the Mylon and Friends that he hasn't checked, and the Wyvern in Cave Bahamut is what he's got left to face check, because he started in the middle with the Crystal Sword Altar.
Yeah, and guess what? We're getting 17 out of 17 from both of these folks. Guaranteed. and the pass. They're both getting the pass.
Okay, moonblazewolf is cutting and running right now, heading back to the blue planet.
Oh, baby.
I imagine he's still going to go Earth Crystal first, though. I mean, why wouldn't you?
No, that's still the right play, logic-wise, for him. Because that could have go mode. That could have everything. You definitely want to head there. So now it really is a matter of how long is it going to take for Kohrek still has to do music, and that's going to take time.
Yes.
He still has to do top a tower. That's going to take time. Does what Blaze has to do left with the whole of Zot. Oh, wait, what?
He's doing
tower first. Oh, Spite, it's fast. That doesn't make not sense, because it's such a quick check. You can get one thing out of the way.
And he, especially with some of the wipes he took earlier in the game and some of these long fights that he's had recently, he might be gambling right now.
Yeah, this could be a little bit of a meta play. I would not be surprised if he's like, listen, that Earth Crystal was there for, if that had value, whatever, or maybe it's a time thing. This is obviously the fastest check he can make. So that's interesting. It'll be another question. I mean, honestly, like a lot of the routing decisions have been like, have been a lot more. I feel like a lot more difficult in this run than usual, because there's just, you have to know when to cut and run. Stuff's not available when you want it to. There's tough bosses everywhere. This has definitely been a pretty difficult seed, even for these very, very good runners.
Yeah, and earlier in the run, I think it was more like really tough bosses that we saw. And not the bosses were super easy in the later half, but once you get levels, that's something, whatever. But in general, like this routing in this run has been quite difficult, I think.
Yeah, Various7 asking if we've seen Golbez already. We have not seen a Oh wait, did we see Golbez? Maybe we did see Golbez. Now I'm forgetting. There's the hook.
And there was the hook. We knew that had to be hook. So now this enables objective number 3, the trade the pink tail. But Kohrek going to go and turn in that, go for the music first. So, because he still has objective number 2 to complete.
And that makes sense, right?
So,
obviously, because music could have go mode for him.
Absolutely.
He doesn't know who that boss is yet. So this is super useful for him to get done first. But obviously, this is now where we're going to see Blaze start making up a little ground, probably.
So, yeah, as long as Blaze doesn't get baited by that Earth Crystal right now, which is got to be very tempting for him, knowing what's there. But with the hook, he could go get that rat tail. He needs to go to Eblin. And if Eblin has Sid and the Pale Dim, then Blaze could be right back in this.
Right, he only needs... Oh, wait, because the hook...
Yeah, he just needs one of them, because, yeah, you're right. You're right. He just needs one of those two to be there.
But we are going to get a nice reprise of the awesome Star Tropics music here for you in just a couple of seconds.
Yeah, once we're through this little cutscene, we'll take you back to Sea Island.
That's such a fun game. I love that game.
I played that. That was one of my favorites as a kid. I loved Star Tropics.
It was one I never owned it, but I rented the heck out of it.
Blaze
16 out of 17, almost achieved.
He has his hook.
What is he?
Looks like he's heading to Damsium. That's good. Yeah.
So here is the lead being potentially taken by Blaze right here. If he gets the one of the two things he needs, he's done. Oh yeah, he's obviously going to hand in the pink tail first, regardless.
And now for the reprise of DJ Spoony B's Rockin' Tune. Okay, I know we don't usually talk during music very much, but Blaze has made the decision to head to Eblin next. This is huge.
This is exactly what he wants to do right here. No, with what we know, this is the right move. So yeah, exciting.
So if this character is Sid, or if the boss in the King Queen of Evelyn spot is, oh wow, that is a stack shot.
Cyrus and Bacchus, I just got it now. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing.
Now, if neither Sid nor Pale Dim is here, then we know it's a required giant.
Exactly.
Oh, except for the possibility of the package.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Blaze doesn't find either, he does package, I think, first.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Bam.
There's Sid!
It's go mode. Done and done.
The gamble of fading Tower of Zot paid off when there were 3 possible avenues towards go mode in the Tower of Zot. Avoids them all. Finds Sid, is in first. Wow, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. You know, I think I could see the logic that you know, Zod is the better call, but I can also see that doing something quickly like he did with Tower and then following the breadcrumbs was also good.
Yeah.
Like they're definitely both good logical choices in different ways, I think. So I think it's good that he made that check, because obviously we know that it was the right one, but also it was quick. Like he was able to do those checks really fast.
Think about this as well. He was in the lunar subterrane. He fought Bahamut and got that Earth crystal, saved, face checked that Valvalus, said nope, reset, did the Mega Sisters fight, did that, went back to Valvalus, got the tower key, and followed that avenue. If he had just said, no, I face checked that Valvalus is not the Pale Dim I'm looking for, then he couldn't have completed this round.
Yeah, I mean, if he did not do that Val fight, if he just went down to do Zod and scum it and just go and check, it'd be game over. Like we pretty much know that for sure now, because obviously like Kohrek's going to get the tower and he's going to have go mode in a moment as well. But yeah, it looks like Blaze is going to do a little bit more leveling. I guess he wants to get, his levels are a little bit spicy.
They're not far off.
They're not far off, right? I think he probably wants to get his Rosa above 2,000, somewhere a little bit safer. Probably just throw down a couple. Maybe he wants to get Nuke on Palom. I'm not sure what level he's at. He might be pretty close.
He's got to be pretty close. I know he's already got Meteor.
Oh yeah. I mean, given his party composition, I feel like it would probably make more sense for him to do reflect strats if he can get White and Nuke.
And there is the Sid for Kohrek. Kohrek is now also in go mode. And I think Kohrek doesn't need to do these couple of grind fights that we see from Blaze. But it looks like Blaze is done. I think we're going to be very close together in this Z fight. This is a heck of a match.
Yeah, here we go. Oh, and Blaze is going to take that Foo.
Yeah, swap that Forum out for Foo.
And now guaranteed we're doing reflect strats, right? Because like he's going to get a nuke off of this, so that seems like the right play. Get that extra nuke on top of a Palom, and you can decimate the Z pretty quick. I mean, also just the other added utility of another Cure 4 and another everything else, but I think having that extra nuke makes the biggest deal.
So now both runners, crystal in hand. They got to get to Toria. Kohrek is there a little bit earlier. Didn't have to do as much setup after getting to go mode. Look at those levels on Kohrek too.
Oh wow, yeah, he's super totally ready. This is bananas. Whoa, yeah, we're seeing a simultaneous walk down.
And we see the characters getting. This is everybody getting getting their characters in position, knowing what's ready, because we've got a question to ask. Why don't you go ahead and ask it, Ground?
Question is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
Absolutely. It is butt time, and our runners are neck and neck. This is about as close as it gets in free enterprise, everybody. Hope you're ready for this. I am psyched for this fight.
Yeah, get popcorn. Well, no, if you don't have popcorn, you're not going to have time to make it.
Just sit here don't get it.
Just
eat
think
it
about
if you
popcorn.
got it. Make some afterwards.
Get some after the fact.
And then watch it again on the VOD.
Bam, exactly. And this might be a tale of two strats because I think we're going to have most likely reflect strats on Blaze's side because he's got those nukes. And I think on Kohrek's side, there's better physical, and we're going to see Zerk strats or maybe a hybrid. So that could, depending on the Blaze's strat is going to be faster, and that could be enough for him to catch up here. He is definitely behind by, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds.
Yeah, and whatever, there's always a little bit of who knows what's going on when we've got a delay as well, but it's really close. This is really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's one thing to bear in mind. I don't know what the delay setup was, but obviously we lost Kohrek's stream a couple of times, and I know sometimes that can muck with what you're seeing on screen in terms of is it like at the same time as when Blaze is doing it, or is he ahead or behind by a minute? So just bear that in mind as we go.
And is that
Flurry? Nice flurry miss.
Oh, it's flurry miss. Nice.
Yes, a good one. Yeah, I guess. Oh, that's right, because he was in the finals. So so Dusty got a sprite and Flurry got his sprite as well.
And we see those Zerks getting set up right away over on Kohrek's side. Meanwhile, the counter nuke hitting Fu is not as ideal as you want to see over on Blaze's side, but it could be worse.
Yeah, the fact that he got knocked to 100, but yeah, obviously he's not dead, so that's good. But you want to get you got to get something on him because a reflected Big Bang is still going to wipe him out pretty quick. And you want to keep
as long as we can,
all else.
If you can queue up that Cure 3 and get that off before the Big Bang hits, then Blaze should be in good shape here.
It shouldn't be a problem either, because the rumble was literally happening as he was going into the menu.
Exactly.
Now, we'll say that reflected nuke with Fu, I guess Fu doesn't have any gear whatsoever. That was only a little over 4,000.
Right. Yeah. Now, especially with the C Neki flag, Fu doesn't get his great gear setup that you normally have when he starts. So no Sorcerer Robe, no Rune Armlet to start with. That's the sort of thing. And I don't know if Blaze equipped him after that. I know he did some setup, but we know that Kohrek found more toys than Moonblazewolf did for his mages.
Yeah, most definitely. But yeah, I mean, I'm guessing given what he's got here, he's probably has Kohrek been doing a hybrid strat, or has he just been doing the physical?
Just straight berserk. It looks like.
Yeah, it's certainly fast. Like his action, he might not do as much per action, and he might end up, the turns might come up more, so that there's more potential for seeing a Big Bang. But also they're faster, so the fact that he's can get through those turns so much quicker doesn't put him as much of a time disadvantage as a reflect strat would. But Blaze throwing out those big numbers too, so the fact that he only needs to meet the pre-refill number for the crumble could make the difference here.
Yeah, the strategy Blaze is using, he'll have to deal less damage overall than Kohrek, but Kohrek's going to have more turns and less animations to deal with. So that's kind of the difference. So that Big Bang took out Fu, and that's a little bit unfortunate. That means you're going to have to take a little bit of recovery time to get him back up. This is really close, though. It could just be one or two more Well, that black hole is a little annoying too, because that's going to take off the wall that's set up on Yang there.
Yeah, I got to put the Star Veil back up. Hopefully he didn't. Yeah, okay, he's not going to get nuked. That would be bad. I'd have to put the wall back up and get the sequence started again. But obviously, the way he is kind of throwing things down right now, I'm guessing he is hoping that he can skip another big bang and just kind of reflect strat all the way through, which I think is doable.
Like my eyes are darting back and forth between each of the runners' screens. Which one's going to be it? Is this nuke going to be enough? Is this next hit going to get into the Rocks ball? And Meteor is coming on Kohrek's side.
Rocks, yes. Oh my gosh.
And crumbling over on moonblazewolf's side. We
crumble. And yeah, Moonblaze has finished. Holy heck, GG's.
Oof, this is a amazing finish, and there is the crumble over on Kohrek's side.
Yeah, so just so all of you know, we've seen this crumble happening, and the race is under review. So we do not know what the results will be yet. We're going to find out after the fact, but we're still going to bring in the friends and chat with them because they still had a remarkably fantastic race that's absolutely close and amazing. So let's get some interview action going on here.
Yeah, and I believe we're joined by both runners here tonight, moonblazewolf and Kohrek. GG's on this incredible race from the both of you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. I hope that was as fun for everybody watching as it was nerve-wracking for, I guess I can only speak for myself, but wow.
I'm still having the shakes. Like, I cannot tell you how awesome this race has been. You both have been playing out of your minds, and the seed has also been out of its mind because it's been kind of a nightmare in a lot of places, the whole seed, and kind of been dealing, both of you, nasty blows and making things very obscure. Like, obviously, both of you had to go 17 out of 17 just to get through this, and you were like one check away from having to go hop on Giant. So thankfully, you didn't have to do that. But yeah, like, put us through, I guess, Blaze first and then Kohrek. Put us through your thoughts in terms of, like, you get you know, you're obviously trying to clear out Moon, but you're starting to get stuff that, like, it's actually maybe a good time to go save scum and go check the stuff. Like, what's going through your head when you get, like, the Earth Crystal and the Tower Key and stuff? Like, what are you thinking at that moment?
Just speaking for myself, I was basically committed to everything being behind the hook, and I was looking for reasons to chase things that maybe were a little bit difficult. So Tower Key at Val was a perfect example of that. I was like, okay, I'm feeling behind. I sat through this. I got the Tower Key. I need to do this right now. And it was my last check at the bottom of the moon, so it made sense to do that first when I came back.
Yeah, for me, you know, it's kind of funny. So Blaze doesn't know this, but yeah, I decided to get rid of Quorum, probably incorrectly. I wasn't even thinking about exit at that point, and so I actually thought, like, hey, maybe we could make a play here, and then I'm like looking and I'm like, oh no, I can't make any play. I'm kind of stuck down here, so I guess I'm just gonna full clear the moon. And yeah, but I did briefly cross my mind that I would make a play and just go back to Earth, but that just didn't happen.
So Blaze, you were talking about kind of going with the hook kind of mentality, but before you even got there, you had Zot and you had Tower Key, and you went back to Earth. You skipped everything else at that point. You went Tower Key immediately. What was your thought process at that point instead of going to Zot? Because Zot obviously has the 2 characters and 2 bosses.
Truthfully, the start of that seed was so brutal for me, I figured I had to gamble, and my gamble was that Hook was hard required, and it was at Tower Key because Tower Key was the hardest thing to get in that entire seed behind that Belvalis.
Logic checks out. But yeah, that was a spicy play, but obviously, I mean, like, and also the speed of being able to do that tower check, like, it's not terrible either. So it wasn't like you did like something astronomical, but wow.
Yeah, that definitely factored into it too. It was a short check, and if it was truly at Zot, or honestly at that point, Giant, although, you know, Hook was, it was most likely to me at least that Hook was either required or Giant was required, so I just had to find that Hook before anything else.
Either of you ever had the thought of checking the package to see if Pale Dim was the boss there?
On my side, I honestly like there was so much going on in that seed that it might have crossed my mind early on, but by the end, I'm really lucky that that wasn't required for some reason because I had completely forgotten that that was actually a thing by the end.
Yeah, that was a gamble too far for me too. I was really hoping the way I routed the second half of the blue planet was when I got that legend sword at Luca, I was super excited. And I did that before Twin Harp, so I was actually really hoping Darkness was a Twin Harp and Kohrek would go
Right.
and miss the legend sword, but that obviously didn't work out. So
Yeah, Kohrek actually got Darkness Crystal much earlier than you did, and then also had all those levels, and then went to the moon and got more levels. Ended up doing a couple of dragon grinds, so it wasn't really obvious to see. Like you Blaze had been making checks faster, and you were ahead by a couple of checks, even though you had a couple of unfortunate wipes early on. But Kohrek had the power and the speed, and so he was able to do things a little bit faster. So it was definitely like completely up in the air. Basically, the entire seed, like there's no way to tell who was in any lead at any point.
yeah, I'm not surprised at all. My early game was just so rough, and I knew. So I don't know, Kohrek, I'm curious about this. Did you find a bow before you got underground? Because I gave up after so many chests, and I didn't loot the front half of Watery Pass, and I was like, okay, if there's a bow or heroine robe there, I'm probably 20 minutes behind.
So eventually, I did find an archer bow in Toroya. Like I was struggling, just like you. I normally wouldn't go there, but there's a shop there, and then there's some extra chests, and I was just like, man, I don't know if I can get past anything with any speed at all. So I was hoping for one check that I honestly, since I've played these seeds, I have not looted those chests a single time. But today I'm just like, I need something. Give me something, please.
Well, it's good we were in the same boat that way. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, loot was not super friendly to either of you, like the whole seed at all. I mean, I know that I think Kohrek got a defense sword early. Am I thinking of maybe I'm thinking of a different seed?
No.
Honestly, I'm thinking. Sorry, getting my seeds mixed up. That's my bad. But Kohrek did check. Was it? Heck, where was it? You ended up getting. Oh, it was Fey March. You ended up doing Fey March checks. And you got a life staff and Stardust Rod. That Stardust Rod made a huge difference too. Like you were blowing stuff up with that poor Palom really early, and that was actually really helpful for you too.
Yeah, I don't remember. I actually found 2 curse. Oh, okay. I found a curse string in Baron Castle, right? Like I don't normally open those 3 chests, but I, decided what the heck, maybe I'll get lucky with something, and there was a curse string there. So then when I was going through, when you have Quake and Curse String, it's basically free trap chest, and you don't even have to worry about it. And the levels weren't great on the party at that point, so I just figure, yeah, just do a Quake setup and see what we can find in here. And yeah, there was a Stardust Rod, and it was just very nice. I had 5 life stats, maybe not that many, but it was ridiculous.
Well, yeah,
it's hard to know what the next step is going to be when we've got a race this close. But tell me just what your thoughts are. If you've got any final thoughts or other things that you wanted to mention about this race or this event, the Swiss flags. This is the last week of these.
For me, I've really enjoyed these flags. The bracket flags are, quite a step up. With basically you only get what you loot. You can't buy anything now. For that mainly affects items because you don't buy that much weapons and armors in the shop anyway. But it's still going to be quite the difference. We're going to be a little bit more constrained on what we can do. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a great event so far. It's just the competition in free enterprise nowadays. It's off the charts.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So I'm just looking forward to it. There's almost anybody. Anybody, don't qualify. Anybody that makes the brackets could win, absolutely. So, and there's people that aren't going to make the brackets that if they made the brackets, they could win. So it's a fun time. It's great competition.
Oh, thank you for thinking about me.
I mean, I would just, this was like getting an early practice seed on brackets. Honestly, with how bad that loot was, I feel like this was more like a T Pro than a T Wildish seed. And the treasure settings actually don't change at all when we go to brackets. So it's mostly just about not having a lot of money and using the resources that you have wisely. So I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be incredibly skill testing. I think we're going to really see the format open up a little bit. It's going to be pretty similar to the Swiss, but you're going to see more characters that are viable. You're going to see more Zeroma strats that are viable. You're going to see some different grinding options. There's just going to be a lot of stuff that runners are really going to have to like dig a little deeper into the playbook, I think, and just squeeze every little bit of value out of the seeds that they have, because it's just going to be like if this was an 8 for skill testing, the brackets are going to probably be like a 10. So
yeah, for sure. Well, so next week you both are, or I guess no, not what am I saying? Next week. Next week is a week off. At brackets, then we'll start the week after that. You are both advancing to brackets, so good luck to both of you in that round, because it's going to be spicy. Like you said, the pool, the free enterprise pool, is full of sharks. But I would count both of you among them, and I would count this race among one of the best ones I've ever been able to do commentary for. So thank you both for putting on an amazing show, even if it stressed the heck out of you. Didn't stress us. We were having a blast the whole time, I promise you.
Well, thank you, and thanks for putting on the show for us. I really appreciate it.
yeah, this was great. I'm glad everybody enjoyed. This was really, we've had 2 races that I can recall, Kohrek. I know we played last year in the Football Gauntlet, and it was also extremely close like this. So I guess in all likelihood, it's one apiece, and maybe we'll meet up again in the bracket. Should be fun. So GG's to you. That was a great race.
GG's. Yeah, I'll look forward to it.
All right. Well, those were our 2 great racers tonight, moonblazewolf and Kohrek. Like we mentioned before, it's going to be under review, but this was about as close as it can get. This was a lot of fun to watch. I want to give a shout out to the Restream team tonight. Dath is doing the Restream, Aegis on the tracking. Without them, we don't have a show. So big shout out to them. Shout out to the team who is running the administration and the behind the scenes, the people who will be working on reviewing the race as well. That's also important. Right now, we are going to take you to more Free Enterprise Lali-Ho action over to Randomania 2, where we've got Y2 Sky and Gaming with a Wraith on their run tonight. Please, no spoilers on this race. They're going to want to watch the VOD of this anyways if they missed it. So don't let them know. Just tell them to watch it when they've got time after they finish watching what's going to be a great race between Sky and Wraith. Did you have any last thoughts there, Brown?
You pretty much summed them all up. I'm just ready for more Free Enterprise action. So let's not dilly-dally. Let's send our friends over there.
All right. Take care, everybody, and hope you have a good night now.
Peace out.